Good evening and welcome to our Build Back Better webinar. If you would like to listen to this webinar in Spanish, please click on the button that looks like a globe on the bottom of your screen and select Spanish. Si quieren escuchar el webinar en español, aplasten el botón circular que dice Interpretación en la parte baja de su pantalla y hagan clic en Spanish. My name is Roy Korbozinski and I'm with Save the Children. I would like to thank all of our co-sponsors for this evening's event, including Save the Children Action Network, Moms Rising, Unidos US, National Women's Law Center, First 5 Years Fund, Homegrown, Early Care and Education Consortium, and Common Sense Campaign for America's Children. We have an exciting lineup for you this evening, so let's get right to it. I would like to turn things over to Save the Children President and CEO, Yanti Saripto.
Thanks, Roy, and welcome to all of you for being here this evening, and thank you for joining. We are delighted, as Roy says, to have a very full lineup of speakers. So I'll be very brief, but I wanted to take a minute to recognize why we are here tonight. President Biden addressed the United Nations this afternoon, and he talked about an inflection point when he was talking about the pandemic response, climate change, and the need to come together. We think we are also finding ourselves at an inflection point here in the United States for children. Congress is considering legislation that would invest historic amounts of money into America's children and families, addressing issues like nutrition, paid family leave, and of course, investing in childcare and universal pre-K. We cannot overstate the importance of these child and family provisions in the Build Back Better Act. This funding would have an unprecedented positive impact on millions of children and families in this country. This isn't over the line yet either, so what we do next here matters. By attending this event, you're taking the first step of understanding the issues at hand. So thank you for taking the time to learn, to listen, and hopefully take action with us. And we have several opportunities for you throughout the evening, so please keep an eye out to take advantage of those options. But first, let's start and get into it. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Neera Tanden, Senior Advisor to President Biden. Neera was previously President of the Center for American Progress and has been a key advisor for many political leaders. In her current role, Neera is working hard to advance President Biden's Build Back Better agenda. Thank you for joining and welcome, Neera.
Thank you. You would think after a year and a half of dealing with Zoom, I'd be really capable of doing it. So I just really want to say thank you to you, Yanti, for your incredible leadership. I am so thrilled to be joining all of you and to be here with such old friends, people who've been working on behalf of children for not weeks or months or years, but really year in and year out for several years now, some of whom I met in the Clinton administration. So I really just want to say a brief shout out to Mark Shriver, Jennifer Garner, Hamdi, Ulukaya, who I was in an event with the vice president with recently, and so many other people, organizations, people, and leaders who have put children first in all of their advocacy for years. So I'm really here to say thank you. Thank you for all you've done, but really to let you know we are in a crucial moment. I have worked on public policy for 25 years, and I started in the Clinton administration in the late 90s on the Children and Families team. And back then, we proposed what was then a historic investment in children via a childcare initiative that was $20 billion. And just to put size and scope, the Build Back Better agenda is really a multiple of that by 10 to 15. We are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of investments in children and families and in so many urgent needs. But I can say without any hesitation, the legislation before Congress now that it will be deciding in the next few days and weeks is legislation, the most impactful legislation in my lifetime for children and families. It has historic levels of investment in childcare, a paid leave program. As I know everyone knows here, the United States almost stands alone on the globe by not offering a national paid leave program. This legislation corrects that. Historic child tax credit investments that really make permanent this initiative, the child tax credit, and the expansion of the child tax credit that has made such an incredible dent on child poverty. And a whole plethora of programs, universal pre-K, and an array of programs that support families in the most important work they do, which is addressing the needs of their children. The United States really stands alone in the world in how little it supports families and through its public policy, and this legislation is designed to correct that. The president is fighting very hard for his legislation. He's talking to all kinds of folks, moderates, conservatives, progressives, to try and pass this legislation. And I will just say this is a really crucial moment. And I am so grateful for the work that this very broad coalition that has been putting the needs of children and families at its forefront. I am so grateful for your work. You've been able to reach members that it's not so easy to reach sometimes, and really communicate how this will make a transformative difference. And so I feel like I've been in the trenches with you for many, many years. But this is an inflection point for children. This is the moment we can make a far-reaching difference that will change the lives of children for generations to come. So with that, I just really want to say thank you to all of you, and particularly thank you, not for what you've done, but what you will do in the next really very few days, weeks, and months to realize this transformative change. So thank you all. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Nira, for those great words. Next up, we have U.S. Secretary of Commerce, Gina Raimondo, who could not be with us live this evening, but she very kindly recorded some remarks in advance. Secretary Raimondo has been a tireless champion for kids and a very close partner of the Save the Children Action Network, especially when she served as governor of Rhode Island. We partnered with her on numerous occasions and were always grateful and inspired by her steadfast support of Rhode Island's youngest, particularly through her support of pre-K. We are very appreciative of her continued support in her role now, and for her taking the time to record this message, which we will play now.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you at Save the Children Action Network. Thank you, Yanti, for that introduction. I have had the privilege of working with Save the Children for years as governor, and it's so wonderful to be able to continue to support your work as Secretary of Commerce. I'd like to begin by thanking all of you for the incredibly important work that you do every day to ensure that every American child has a strong start in life. Your work has made a huge difference in the lives of millions of children here and around the world. From promoting food security to expanding access to affordable childcare, Save the Children has made immeasurable difference. We all know how devastating the COVID pandemic has been on kids these past 19 months. Food insecurity, housing insecurity, reports of child abuse and neglect, all the problems were exacerbated through the pandemic. And for many kids, the school and after-school programs that normally would be their safe space to get a good meal or find an adult they trust were either closed or reduced in hours. As a member of the Biden administration, I'm proud that we've put forward one of the most pro-family, pro-child agendas in American history. Since taking office, the administration focused on economic recovery, helping small businesses keep their doors open, supporting Americans who lost their jobs, and providing the largest child tax credit to middle-class families in American history. President Biden announced a change to guidelines for America's nutrition assistance programs, ushering in the largest permanent increase in food stamps in American history. But we're not stopping there. We are working to pass a historic bipartisan plan that modernizes America's infrastructure, creates millions of good-paying jobs, and empowers our businesses to compete globally. And as we plan for the long run, we're also working to pass legislation that invests in our human infrastructure, the largest investment of its kind since World War II. It includes investments for universal pre-K for every 3- and 4-year-old, so kids have the skills that set them up for success. 2 years of community college, so Americans are educated and prepared for jobs. And affordable childcare and expanded paid leave, so nobody has to choose between caring for their child and a paycheck. I know all of you here understand more than most just how critical these investments are for American families and the American economy. President Biden has made clear it's not just about building back to the pre-pandemic conditions. We have to build back better than ever. A huge part of that is investing in the care economy, and that includes childcare. It means supporting caregivers and giving them the resources they need to succeed and know that their loved ones are cared for. At the end of the day, childcare increases the productivity of our workers and our businesses. During the pandemic, more than 2 million women dropped out of the workforce, mostly due to lack of affordable childcare. The Washington Post reported just today that the number of childcare workers is down 10% since the start of the pandemic. It's a huge crisis for American families, our children, and women who have children. I couldn't have been the governor of Rhode Island without help raising my 2 kids, and I couldn't be Secretary of Commerce without full-time help for my 90-year-old mom. The United States is one of the only countries in the world that doesn't guarantee paid leave. And we know that disproportionately affects women, and particularly women of color. It's why the Biden administration supports creating a national, comprehensive, paid family and medical leave program so that workers aren't forced to choose between their jobs and their caregiving responsibilities. The bottom line is that without adequate child care services, we can't expect everyone who's a parent or a caretaker to participate in the workforce. So it's time for all of us to address our care crisis so that Americans can return to work, so that our American families can thrive, and so that children can get the care they need. Investing in our children, in our families, is the highest value investment we could possibly make for a healthy, vibrant, competitive economy. And that's what the administration's Build Back Better agenda is all about. So let's get to work to give every American child a strong start in life, from early child care to high-quality education. Let's ensure they're equipped with the skills they need to thrive, and let's empower them to succeed in the 21st century and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you to Secretary Raimondo again for taping those messages. And as you've heard from both Ms. Tanden and Secretary Raimondo, an historic moment for investment in children and childcare. In the chat box right now, there is a link for you to send a message to your members of Congress, letting them know that you support this if you feel already compelled to take action. But whilst we're looking at that, we haven't even started yet with our interactive panel, and that's coming up right now. Let me just introduce you to someone who's been by our side and children's side for many, many years, who's an amazing champion for kids all over the world, and in particular also for kids in America. She's visited countless childcare programs, Save the Children Head Start facilities. She's gone on home visits. She advocates with state legislators across the aisle and on the Hill. And most recently, we were together to visit our program response at Dulles Airport in Virginia, where we were welcoming refugees from Afghanistan. She's relentless in her commitment to kids, and in her free time, you may have seen her starring in movies and on Instagram. Please welcome Jennifer Garner.
Hi, thank you, Yanti. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to be here. Thank you to Secretary Raimondo. Secretary Raimondo, when she was governor of New Mexico, really stood out as a leader who is there to fight for kids. And that has to start young. And she knew it, and she focused on it, and paved the way for a lot of other governors to back up their work with kids. Now, listen up. I've worked with Save the Children for 13 years. And when I started, I said, I want to help kids who grew up like the kids I grew up close to in West Virginia, or like my mom, who grew up really poor in rural Oklahoma. Who is helping kids in rural America? And Mark Shriver said to me, okay, well, we are, yes, but it's not, you can't start in middle school or in high school. You've got to start. And I said, of course, elementary school. And Mark said, no, you've got to start at birth. If you want to get kids ready to start kindergarten, just ready to learn with their brains set up for it and their psyche's all excited, you've got to start right away out of the gate, because every child is born with the same amazing potential. It is the day they leave the hospital that some kids just get screwed. So this is what we've been doing, and I'm so excited. And in the process, I have gotten to meet incredible childcare workers across the country. Last year, exactly around this time, I was meeting them virtually as we were holding just conversations with people all over the country. And something that I learned or something that someone said really stuck out to me, which was that they had been an elementary school teacher, and as an elementary school teacher, they were respected and spoken to Mrs. this, Miss that, and given a lot of just authority, just based on the fact that they were at the front of a classroom. But when they transitioned to childcare or to early childhood, they were treated like a worker, like less than a worker, like somebody who wasn't educated. Suddenly everything about them that had been impressive went away, when meanwhile their job was even more important. Their job was to be the brain architect, setting up those little brains to learn once they get to kindergarten and first grade and second grade, to get them. So what is kindergarten readiness? I didn't know this when I first started out, and learning it made all the difference to me, because here in LA, kindergarten readiness is a kid who's like starting to learn their multiplication tables. Not really. I kid, but not by much. Kindergarten readiness isn't even knowing the alphabet. It's knowing that an alphabet exists. It's knowing how to sit in a circle and listen. It's knowing how to stand in line and to let somebody go in front of you. It's knowing how to hold a book and turn the pages because you've been read to, and you can tolerate sitting and listening for a story without, getting so many wiggles that you can't even hear the end of a picture book. So these are the skills that are so important to build, and childcare is the most important resource that our country has to offer these to children while allowing parents to go out to work. Now, childcare workers, listen, if you're a childcare worker in West Virginia, where I grew up, the median childcare worker wage in West Virginia is $9.95 an hour. Now, 90% of childcare workers we know are women, and over half of those are women of color. Okay, so $9.95 when you can go across the street and make $13 at McDonald's. So I would like to see if we had men in a childcare facility and we told them, oh, it's graham crackers and naps. If we had men in a childcare facility and they were in charge of potty training, of teaching how to use a spoon, of wiping noses, of dealing with separation anxiety, and let's read a book and story time and circle, and if we had men in that job, would the wage be the same? I don't think so. Okay, what we have here today is an amazing panel. So I'll stop talking, even though clearly I could go on. I would like, please, to introduce our panel. Shanae Thomas, parent and a scan advocate from South Carolina. We have Jen Statler, parent, a grandparent, and a scan advocate from Iowa. We have Kim McDowell, a senior district leader for KinderCare education in Atlanta, Georgia. And Cynthia Davis, director of Kings and Queens Child Care Center in Washington, D.C. Can you all turn on your cameras? Are we all here? Is everyone off of mute so we can say hi? Hi,
Hello.
Cynthia. There you are. I knew you were there somewhere. Hi, how are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Did I get it a little bit right?
You got it right.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's all I really needed. I needed some positive affirmation. But really, okay, it is so great to be here with all of you in support of such a historic piece of legislation. I mean, think about the difference this would make for moms being able to go back to work, for all the women who work in childcare to be treated with the respect they deserve, and to see the paycheck closer to at least that they deserve. There is no amount of money you could put on that paycheck, but they can do a lot better. It would, this is truly, when Nira called this an inflection point, it really is. And we're on the precipice of something really exciting. And so thank you to everyone for being here and for taking advantage of this energy to go out and reach out to you, the people that are voting on your behalves. You have a voice to reach out to your friends, to your family, to people that you work with at church, in work, in your neighborhood, and ask everyone to vote, to ask their legislators, their leaders, their policymakers to vote for change. Okay, I said I was going to talk to the panel. I would first like to introduce Shanae Thomas, a parent and advocate from South Carolina. Shanae, can you tell us about yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shanae Thomas. And yes, so I am a mother of 3. Me and my husband, we are high school sweethearts. We are from, we are from Summerville, South Carolina. And currently we reside in Columbia.
Great. Well, we've seen so many stories of parents struggling to juggle kids at home. I mean, yes, because of pandemic school closures, but we know the system wasn't working well before the schools were closing down, well before 2020. What experiences in your family, Shanae, have demonstrated the ways that the childcare system in this country is broken?
So yeah, I can share a lot, actually. I'll pinpoint on 2 reasons. I've been a stay-at-home mom for 5, close to 6 years now. One of the main reasons that I became a stay-at-home mom was because the childcare was unaffordable. I used to be a cake decorator, and every paycheck literally went to childcare. And once I got pregnant with my second son, we saw how all the money was going to daycare. We were like, oh my gosh, it's not even worth it for us to pay it. It's all going to go to daycare. So for me to work just to pay daycare, it made more sense for me to just stay home. And I found that talking to other moms, it's a normal thing for, if you work, a lot of that money does go to childcare, and it's barely anything left over for you to take care of other expenses. Another example I'll give is that before I completely decided to stay home, I did do interviews with daycare centers, and a lot of the daycare workers, going back to what you shared about how they shared with you, the lack of respect. And, these people teach our children, we should show them more respect because they are teaching the little people of tomorrow. They're just not really happy. And if your person is teaching your baby, you should be treating them more kinder. And that made me feel like, okay, maybe I just need to keep my baby home, and I'll just, give them that nurturing they need. And it made me feel for the daycare workers, because I'm like, they need more support from other parents as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you, Shanae. Let's turn to our home-based childcare provider, Cynthia Davis, who's joining us from Washington, D.C. Hello, Cynthia. Or she might be, in orbit. We're not sure which.
I'm saving the world.
Your business has such a wonderful name, Kings and Queens Family Childcare Center. Could you tell us a bit about that choice and why you think investing in our children is important?
The reason why I chose Kings and Queens Child Care Center, because I thought that our African American children, Black American children, were not treated as kings and queens. So Kings and Queens Child Care Center exists at this point because it's the place where every child is royalty. And that's how I came about the name of Kings and Queens. Just basically talking about the field that I'm in. I have a master's degree in education, and to be treated so lowly in the I just didn't understand it. I just was like, well, you know, I'm here giving my all to parents, you know, and to be treated so lowly, I just did not understand that. I didn't understand it at all. And I was like, until I start going out and I realized that there's a lot of, you know, like just craziness going on in our field. Like the way that they think of us, like, oh, you guys ain't never babysitter. I say not once if I sat on a baby, because I know I'm a little too big for that. But the fact that I've never sat on a baby, I'm not a babysitter. I call, this is a school here. I have children. I have a 24-hour program. I have a child that was with me. She's now 11 years old. So I don't lose ties with my families. I continue to build with them. I still give Christmas gifts. I still connect with them. So not only am I teaching the children, I'm teaching the parents to how to grow and how do you take care of your children. So I always let them know that I'm just a person that's in the team. You're the first child, you're the first teacher for your child. So I'm here in the team to make this king be the next president. I don't know. Since Barack Obama, hey, I'm willing to say it.
Cynthia, can I just say to all of you, I am grateful to every single thing I've ever learned from a teacher, and especially those early preschool teachers. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. You don't come into motherhood just automatically knowing what to do. Even if you had a great mom and you have great friends around you and it's been modeled for you, it is still hard. You need all the help you can get, and you need experts like you there to instruct and to lift up and to just to hold parents through the difficult growth it is learning what the heck you're supposed to do. So thank you for that, Cynthia, and thank you for Kings and Queens. I love it. Okay, we have with us this evening a former child care worker, grandparent, and advocate, Jen Statler of Iowa. You're a longtime early educator, Jen, with a 4-year degree and a passion for early learning, but you're currently working at a local grocery store chain. Can you explain to us a bit about why lots of educators like you aren't working in the industry at the moment? What do we need to do to fix that?
Well, thank you, Jennifer, for being a champion for children and families and for the child care industry and its workers and professionals. And I just want to say that my experience is not uncommon. First of all, much like Cynthia's and Shanae's, when I was first born, I was born to a working mom. She worked as a nurse, and I was raised in my grandmother's in-home daycare.
Wow.
Move forward, she was my mentor, my role model, my hero, because she had me the first few years of my life. And move forward, I went to school to become an educator and received a 4-year degree, bachelor degree, and with a reading endorsement. And when I graduated in 2001, the first job that I had as a full-time lead teacher, I was making $10 an hour. I worked there for several years. And when my first granddaughter was born in 2011, I resigned because they could not offer me a flexibility or to help take care of my granddaughter, because my daughter, as a single mother, was having a hard time finding available childcare that was affordable and flexible with her hours. And she called me and I said, you know, Maybe you could try an in-home daycare, but why would I have you take my baby to somebody else's home? And so I resigned from my job at that time. While raising helping raise my granddaughter, I worked part-time. I got a job with the public schools before and after school program for preschoolers. It was the only program like that in the state. And in 2017, because of budget cuts, the program was canceled. And again, I was left with no compensation, no benefits, starting all over at zero. So I worked part-time for different community organizations, subbing, teaching part-time and helping in preschools. And in March 2019, they were the first places to close. The 3 places that I divided my 20 to 30 hours a week were the first places to close. Again, leaving me with nothing. I could not apply for unemployment because I did not have full hours anywhere. So just the instability of it. I've never, since graduating, made more than $15 an hour. The fact that I'm talking about salary at an hourly wage, not salary, hourly wage for teaching, lead teacher, being in supervisory positions, that is just not acceptable. And furthermore, is that when I graduated in 2001 with a bill of a little over $33,000 in student loans, for the last 20 years, paying what I can, when I can, I still owe $30,000 in student loan.
Wow, how frustrating. Wow. Thank you, Jen, for sharing your story. Kim, I'm going to get to you in just a second. I just want to remind everyone here that as frustrating as all of this is, we are here because there is a possibility of changing the story. There is a possibility of changing the story. We finally have an administration, a president and an administration eager to make the kind of investment in early childhood, in childcare, in families, in taking care of your grandchildren or sick relatives that this country is so embarrassingly behind on. And it is going to take all of the might that all of us have times a million to actually push this through. And that means doing the uncomfortable thing of reaching out to friends. This is bipartisan. It is hard to really complain about, hey, can you really talk to, can you really help us talk to our policymakers about getting this bill passed? Can you help that? Because really we're talking about helping kids. Come on, give me a break. It's not comfortable to make big investments sometimes. It's not comfortable to just go out on a limb, but every now and then you have to put your money where your mouth is. I mean, Mark and I always say as we're walking Capitol Hill that early childcare is the bobblehead problem where everyone says, oh, I love kids. Oh yeah, oh, kids. But when it comes time to vote, little kids, because they don't vote, especially poor kids or their families, they're the first thing off of any kind of juice from government. So come on, everyone, let's do it. Our final panelist this evening comes to us from Atlanta, Georgia, Kim McDowell. Thank you for waiting so patiently, and thank you for being here with us tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about the challenges facing the kinder care centers? I visited those, they're great, you work with right now. We know there's been a lot of funds from the government after the COVID-19 pandemic, but why do you need a long-term investment? What's missing? Why do you need this long-term investment?
Well, the federal funds have been a lifeline for our centers. And one of the things I always say to my team and my teachers is that, quality really costs. Like there is a price that goes with making sure that you're providing the best educational experience for the children. It's been unfortunate that some centers have had to close down just due to funding and being able to survive with COVID. So anything that is given to support the most important time when they have their brain development, birth to 3 years old, it is so important. So anything that can be done to support not just big corporations, anyone who is taking the time to take care of children and making sure that they have the safest, best quality program available. It should not matter about your bank account. It should be for every single child. So that's one of the things that I really push a lot. And I'm very passionate about when it comes to that. Like it really shouldn't matter what your economic status is. So we really need the help of the legislators and everyone to vote for the kids. Like we have to make sure that they all have the opportunity to show their greatness and be great. So any federal funding that we can get, please send it our way.
Okay, Kim, thank you. That's awesome. So we're running short on time. So ladies, the fastest possible answer, but I do want to just make a quick round through. Shanae, am I saying it wrong? Is it Shania?
It's Shanae.
It's Shanae.
You got it right. Yeah,
Okay. Sorry, pardon me. What difference would high quality and affordable childcare make to your family, to your children, as well as to your career?
Okay, I'll say it real quick. High quality and affordable childcare creates a cycle of advancements for our children as well as ourselves. Going back to what is her name, Kim? It was Kim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what Kim just said, it starts as early as 0 to 3 years old. I didn't share with you guys that I homeschool my children, but yes, I homeschool them. And ever since all of them are 1, I start them off with Hooked on Phonics. We read, we listen to music, we do arts and crafts. All of that are the fundamentals so that when they start pre-K and start school, they are already exposed to all these things. And therefore, they're eager to learn these things and continue to learn and to continue to grow. We don't want to wait until they're in 5th grade and then wonder why their reading score is so low. We want to be at 1st grade and they're like, oh, I want to read 10 books so that I can get a prize. So that's what my overall goal is for my kids and then all the other kids that I meet. I try to reward with books and learning materials, not so much candy and stuff that you don't need. And I don't want to
down, but I'm going to keep us moving. I love it. I love everything you're saying. I'm being speedy. Cynthia, your center offers 24-hour care. Can you tell us a bit about how you came to provide that, why it's important to families you serve in a couple of sentences? You're on mute. You're on mute, my darling.
Oh, I'm sorry. I try to give respect to everybody. The main reason why is because I saw a lot of parents that needed non-traditional hours. I wanted to make sure, by me coming from humble beginnings myself, I wanted to make sure that any mom, no matter where she worked, I was there for her to provide that quality care that she needed. I wanted to make sure that I was also, but you can only do but so much when you make so little. So that's the reason why I run a mixed model. I have half children that receive subsidy and half children that I do private care for, so that balance out the books so I can still provide that top level of quality. And I still provide for every full trip for all my students. You would never know who takes subsidy or who is private. I just wanted to make sure that I was there for families in need because I know my mom needed that.
You're incredible.
Thank you.
All right, Jen, in 2 sentences, if you were to return to the childcare profession, what kind of supports do workers need beyond just increased pay?
Well, after recently watching the movie, I say we need a yes day on Capitol Hill. I say we need a yes day to including pre-K with public school funding so that our early childhood educators receive the compensation and benefits that they need. I say we say yes to supporting grants and funding for childcare centers and professional development for the field. And I say yes to school forgivable loans for childcare workers and professionals.
All right, awesome, great. Okay, and thank you for the plug. To Kim McDowell. All right, what do you want people to know about what childcare centers are going through at the moment? And why is it that on one hand, childcare providers are struggling and workers aren't paid that well? And on the other hand, parents are often paying thousands of dollars a month in fees.
Yeah, I'm proud to work alongside the dedicated professionals who educate and care for their children. This has been a particularly trying time for us with the workforce and being able to keep educators in the early childhood field. The one thing that we want to do is the cost of care, understanding that for infants and toddlers is going to be greater than what it is for 3 or 4-year-old children in our preschool classrooms. So that funding is very much needed. And just the continuity of care that we provide is 2 major benefits. It ensures a stable environment for children in the years prior to kindergarten that are critical to their child development, while also helping to keep fees for our infant and toddler classrooms lower. So we can evenly distribute across the ages. So it's very important just to have that.
It is very important to have that. Oh my gosh, think of how much work it is to deal with an infant and a toddler. You need a few more people in those rooms. You only have so many arms. Okay, Roy, do you want to come on in and let's just remind people? Yes.
Jennifer,
Mark.
hey, it's Mark Shriver. It's great to be with you all. Great to have partnered with you, Jennifer, for so many years. I'm so proud of SCAN, which we started, 6 or 7 years ago, and the work that you've done all across the country. Cynthia, Kim, Shanae, and Jennifer. Wow, what a panel, right?
What a panel.
Thank you. The energy was fantastic. And Jennifer, to get people, they got to go into that chat, right? They got to hit the action button. I did it while you were talking, nothing personal, but you can listen to what you're saying and do the chat and send an email out to.
But Mark, did you forward it to everyone in your family and everyone on your Facebook and put it on Instagram and tell everyone you know?
I have not done that yet, but you know what? It's an option on the link. So you guys, everybody on here, there's an army here, right, Jen? 220 people, and many, many more watching it on Facebook. If they send that out, just like you said, it'll make a big difference. I was in politics.
Big difference.
Right? It makes a difference, right?
It does, absolutely. I mean, how many times have we walked into an office on the Hill and they know if they've gotten, if they've heard from 30 people, 100 of their constituents, whatever it is, they know.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So thank you, ladies, for that. Jennifer, thank you. I hope everybody on this panel is going to stick around. I'm going to introduce in about 2 seconds, Hamdi Ulukaya, the founder of Chobani, the CEO of Chobani, which has been named North America's one of the best companies in all of North America. We've got it all over our house. Hamdi, are you there? Thank you, ladies. Hamdi, are you there?
Hi, Hamdi. Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera.
Hey, Hamdi, how are you?
Exciting conversations. I'm well. How are you, Mark?
Great. You're so nice to join us. Wasn't that a powerful, the real life stories there of women that are struggling in the childcare industry, if you will? Really, as Jennifer said, they're all brain architects and raising their own kids at the same time. It's so important for business, right, Hamdi? I mean, that's what you talk about so beautifully.
Absolutely. I mean, it's extremely important for business, extremely important for society. And what a timely conversation we're having. We cannot let go this important time, this critical time to fix this shortcoming for all of us, for all sectors of the society, because we are really, really behind. It's shameful where we are right now.
And when you say that, Hamdi, I mean, when you say it's shameful, what does that really mean? I mean, we heard Gina Raimondo, the Secretary of Commerce, talk about how important it is for the economy. Is that true, or is she just saying that? And do you, as a business leader, I mean, do you feel that pinch?
So I totally feel it, but let me get on a very personal level of how I came to understand how dramatic this issue is. When I had my first child, and it was a profound experience for me, and And I mean, you know, this issue has so many dimensions on parental leave, childcare, and all that kind of stuff. And not being aware of it, as soon as we had that experience and I had my breaks, of course, I could afford it, and came to office and asked our head of HR, I said, what is our parental leave policy? What happens when a family has a child? What happens in our organization? He said, we don't have one. I said, wait a minute, so we don't have a parental leave policy? He said, no. She said, no. I said, okay, so a mom had a child or dad, what happens? There is a New York State disability insurance, which pays 75%, 65%, whatever that is, that covers so many weeks. But I said, what if they cannot afford to get a pay cut of 25, 20%? Well, then they're forced to come to work. We did a deeper search, Mark, and we understood that in the manufacturing industry of this country, and the manufacturing which we are on, 95% have no parental leave policy. And New York is a little bit of, a little bit generous side on if you compare to state across the country. There are some states that offers no parental leave policy when it comes to insurance, disability insurance. Here we are asking or forcing or expecting a mother or dad or couples to come back to work immediately after they had the profound experience. And that is shameful. And I could imagine myself or my wife, who's pregnant right now in 3 weeks, we're having our daughter, is imagining her or me going back to work when I'm making $15 an hour, $10 an hour, $17 an hour, because when you're thinking about frontline workers, this thing gets even worse. How do I leave my heart? How do I leave my child behind and come to work? And how do I feel when I come to work, when I'm working in a line or, on a front line? And that, to me, is inhumane. You're breaking hearts, you're breaking souls, you're breaking a parents from a child when it needs to be the most, a bonding time. And who do you blame? Who is responsible for this whole thing? And I think the blame is on the shoulder on everyone. And when I was in the White House and talking to Vice President and trying to understand what they're trying to come up, I found that is one of the historical moments that we have to fix this all, because pandemic really made us wake up to it. We realized that this country, this society, this economy cannot move any further without the frontline workers, half of them being women. And when the schools got closed, there was no one to care for the children, right? That's another dimension. And when they can't, when they are forced to make a decision between caring for their children or going to work, of course we're going to pick being caring for our children. And then what that picking does to the home when it comes to economic, independency is extremely, critical. So
it's profound, Hamdi, right? And I mean, what if somebody said to you, and I saw a question, what's the next thing with the Biden administration? As we heard from Nira at the very beginning, people need to take action right now. And Jennifer said it, you got to go into the chat. You got to take action, right, Hamdi? I mean, this is you're from Turkey. You came over as an immigrant. You understand that if you don't get in the arena and push for your ideas, it's not going to get passed. And this is a critical time for people to stand up. So I hope they get involved. Hamdi, what do you say to people that say, Hamdi's doing this at his business, it's business responsibility. Why should government get involved in this? What is your thought on that?
Yeah, so state to state, the policy is changing.
Yes.
Government should get involved because, look, there are sectors and there are spots in the country that they have very generous program when it comes to child parental leave policies. Government and states get involved in certain things when it comes to safety, how OSHA and different topics. We have government to come in and say, make sure that the safety is on, those parameters are involved. Government must, because it is about the future of the country and future of the society. One, the level should be playing for everyone. And the second thing is we need rules and regulations to get involved, and that people takes it seriously. Now, that could be slow, that could be implemented, certain way. I trust on businesses to step up. I really do. And I have seen that happen. I just announced, support for the refugees today 30 companies stepping up and saying, we're going to hire refugees that come from Afghanistan, which is beautiful, which I haven't seen in a long, long time to come up. But this time when people who work in those companies, people who buy their companies' goods and services can also be a dramatic force forcing companies to do the right thing for their employees. The second point is businesses should understand having a childcare policy and parental policy, making these changes in a positive way, does impact the business in a very dramatically positive way. It's not an expense. It's not a uplift on the cost. If anything, it brings enormous amount of positivity. And
you really believe that? You really believe that?
I lived in it. I lived in it. I have a lot of programs at Chobani. One of the most popular programs at Chobani is childcare policies and parental policies.
Really?
It is unbelievable. I get pictures from line workers, from everyone the minute they have a child or they adopt a child or their foster child comes to their home. This is extremely deep and personal. That person living, staying home and mentally being comfortable, and the organization tells, stay home, care for your children, care for a child, and see you when you get back. When that person comes back, it gives a heart to that business because they had just the most beautiful experiences.
And why don't other businessmen and women see that? Business women and businessmen, why don't they see that? What are we missing?
I think this topic has been just not come to the surface for some reason. It is not a political reason either. I speak to other, both fraction of the politics, and who would be against mom spending time with a baby or child being cared? I don't understand it. But there are some communications needs to happen because underlying of the some programs, there might be some disagreements on some small areas. But what I see is this could be just one of the topics that we should be all united, no matter who we are, what we believe, what kind of political view we have. And that comes including the same thing, the lunch program in schools. Who would be for shaming children in school that their parents couldn't pay, for the lunch?
Well, I think, I think you're right. I think when Jennifer and I have done some of these things in state capitals and in Washington, Hamdi, I think somebody said it pretty well that they suffer benign neglect. And I just don't think poor kids in particular are top priority, and people don't pay attention to it. And the elected leaders don't pay attention. They listen to you. They'll listen to the people that are listening to this on Facebook. If they get off their fannies and get involved, if you actually send an email. Somebody just asked in the chat, I think I sent it. Well, how do I know? Go into your email. If you got a note from Christy Gleason, who runs Save the Children Action Network, your email was sent. But as Jennifer said, you got to put it on your Twitter account, your Facebook account, Instagram. Hamdi, you're so great to join us. I think business leaders haven't been engaged in this issue. I think your voice makes a profound impact. What's the last thing? Because I want to be sensitive to time. Do you have a last message for people out there?
Yeah.
And you run such a great company too. Thank you for doing that. Such a great leader.
What the pandemic, Mark, thank you for that. What this pandemic has shown us that we are in this all together. And what this pandemic has shown us that the frontline workers, are the most essential people in our life, in our communities. And what this pandemic has shown us, for them to step up, for them to be showing up, for them to move the society forward, which they have been doing it forever, that they need to be mindful of their children and their families. And it's all our responsibilities, make sure that at least when it comes to our children, we are on the same level. Every child is precious, every child is important, every child is our future. And no matter who they are, where they come from, what kind of background they have, what kind of job that parents might have. So the work that you guys have been doing, I've been to a border in Texas with Save the Children. I've been in front, I've known about Save the Children forever. This topic, I think, is something that we can all unite around Save the Children and expand the message to everywhere we can, and make sure that every family in this country, especially the frontline workers' families, children, are cared for, and their parents are given time, break for them to care for their children, so these children can grow in a healthy, family and society for our future. So the moment is now. This pandemic was painful for all front, but we have learned a lot. It brought a lot of issues to the surface, and we cannot let go of this opportunity to fix this essential, very important topics to be fixed, at least to begin to fix. And I see the signs of it. There's no reason to slow down, and I think I agree with Jennifer. We need to go full press on. And
hey, Hamdi, I don't know if Jennifer's still on here. I don't know if she's yeah. I mean, this guy should take our jobs here, Jennifer Garner. He's really good.
Done. It's all yours. Thank you for your story, Hamdi. I'm writing it down as you talk. I want to know everything about your policies. I'm going to be bugging you.
Thank you. I'm all at your service anytime. Absolutely.
And the fact that it's so important, right, Jennifer, for business growth in this country. It's so not just it's not a social justice issue or even the science, which shows that we should be doing. It's an economic development as well. So thank you, Hamdi, for lending your voice. Roy, come on back here. Give one last pitch for people to get in the arena. Get engaged.
I don't belong on the screen with this lineup, but I'll try my best. So close this out like a telethon. We have 3 things for you. 1, go ahead and take that action. If you have not done so yet, go to the chat box, click on the action, take the action, send some letters to your members of Congress, tell them why this is so important, tell them what you've heard here tonight. Do that now. 2, we have a brand new report for you from one of our, a great resource from one of our partners in tonight's event. Unidos US just released last week a report that you can get on in the chat called Nurturing Your Multilingual Preschool Age Child Amid COVID-19. It's available both in English and in Spanish. There will be links to that in the chat. Finally, if you've taken the action and want to know what more you can do, we have more for you to do. You can go to the chat and sign up in the link there. Once we get all these links out, sorry, Sam, for going so quick. There will be another link there where you can sign up to join some texting parties. We'll be doing texting parties tomorrow night and Thursday night, where you can reach out directly to SCAN supporters and text them and tell them to contact their lawmakers. So just as everyone was saying about putting this on Facebook, putting this on Twitter, getting other people to do that, we can do that tonight. You'll receive training beforehand, plus the link to join the texting party. So there's the link now in the chat. So again, take the action. Look at the resource that Unidos has provided about helping your children through the pandemic. And lastly, please join these texting parties to get the word out. Yes,
hey, Roy, last thing, I mean, I just saw in the chat thing there, Cynthia Davis said she's going to share it with her association. And we couldn't do this without our partners, all the ones that you put up at the screen, right, Roy? They're
Correct.
All reaching out. We got to do this together or else we're not going to succeed. That's why Hamdi's voice is so important. Cynthia, Jennifer, Kim, Shanae, it's all of us working together here. So thank you to our partners, right, Roy?
Absolutely, yes. I'm going to try to run them down the list again. I know I'm going to forget some, but Moms Rising, Unidos US, National Women's Law Center, First 5 Years Fund, Homegrown, Early Care and Education Consortium, and Common Sense Campaign for America's Children. Thank you so much for sponsoring tonight. I know these folks were tweeting out a lot of the comments that were made this evening. A lot of attention on this tonight. So yes, I'm just one person. We are just individuals, but together, raising our collective voice, we will have an impact here. So thank everyone for taking an hour of your time tonight to be here, to learn more about this, to get excited about making a difference, and to really hopefully making a generational historical change in our country and in children's futures going forward.
Thanks, Roy.
Whew. All right, yeah, I'm done.
Thanks, everyone. Hamdi, Jennifer, gang, thanks a million, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.